Welcome to our explainer. Today we're unlocking a seriously fascinating toolkit, the toolkit of social science. Whether you're a Class 9 student diving into these concepts for the first time or just someone curious about how human society actually ticks, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to explore how everything, and I mean everything, from the breakfast on your table to the laws of your country is deeply, deeply connected. Let's get right into it.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with everyday life and society, move on to the 4 core disciplines, check out Indian perspectives and traditions, discuss the values guiding social science, and finally, look at the future of society.
All right, part 1. Everyday life and society.
You know, it's incredibly easy to take our daily routines for granted. Seriously, think about the breakfast you had this morning or the roads you traveled to get here. None of that just magically happened. It relies on this massive, invisible web of social cooperation and resource management. But look at the questions here. Why do some regions rely entirely on farming while others are all about industry and trade? Or why do crowded, bustling cities exist right next door to quiet little villages? Social science helps us stop just accepting the world as it is and actually gives us the tools to investigate why it operates the way it does. It turns us all into detectives.
Moving on to Section 2, the 4 core disciplines.
Okay, so to answer those big why questions, we use 4 specific lenses. Think of them as 4 different magnifying glasses that, when you put them all together, help us solve the giant puzzle of human society. First up, geography. Now, this isn't just about memorizing maps. It's a study of the Earth and exactly how we humans interact with our environment. Second is history, the study of our past. It shows us how societies evolved and why things changed over time. Third, we've got political science, which dives straight into governance. How is power distributed? How are decisions made? What are our rights? And fourth, economics. This one's all about how societies produce, distribute, and consume resources to get what they need. These 4 disciplines give us unique but totally connected perspectives. Let's look at how this actually plays out when we gather evidence, say, in history. Notice the comparison here. On the left, we've got a literary source, a manuscript of the Samaveda. Now, texts like this are amazing. They give us incredible insights into the cultural and philosophical ideas of the past. But, they're also written with a specific intent by the author. So historians balance those out with what you see on the right, numismatic sources. That's a fancy word for things like this ancient coin issued by King Samudragupta way back in the 4th century CE. Coins give us hard, physical proof about the economy, trade, and even the political borders of an empire. By combining both kinds of evidence, social scientists can build a much more accurate picture of what really went down.
And that brilliantly illustrates that these disciplines absolutely do not work in a vacuum. Check out this table. Geography directly shapes history. Think about it. Physical features like fertile plains or massive mountain ranges literally determined where ancient civilizations grew and thrived. At the exact same time, politics shapes economics. Government decisions on taxes and trade absolutely dictate how fast an economy grows. And economics, in turn, transforms geography. Human activities like mining or building massive cities permanently alter the physical landscape. It's an endless loop. You just can't understand one piece without looking at the rest.
Next up, Section 3, Indian perspectives and traditions. Now, it's really important to realize that the spirit of scientific inquiry and logical reasoning isn't just some modern invention. It actually has a deeply rooted, super rich history in Indian knowledge traditions. Take a look at this ancient concept, Pancha Mahabhutas, or the 5 great elements. That's earth, water, fire, air, and space. Early Indian thinkers didn't look at humanity as something separate from nature. No way. This concept represents a totally interconnected system. It shows this profound, very early understanding that human life is inextricably linked to the natural environment around us. The way nature impacts where we live, what we do for work, and even what we eat, all of that was being observed and documented thousands of years ago. And honestly, it is completely relevant today as we face modern environmental issues.
So the big takeaway here is that our ancestors were already thinking on a massive global scale. Just look at the beautiful Sanskrit phrase Vasudeva Kutumbakam, which translates to "the world is one family." This isn't just some poetic idea, right? It highlights how deeply interconnected people are across different regions and cultures. It's all about global cooperation and interdependence. These ancient concepts were laying the literal groundwork for empathy and global citizenship long before modern social sciences were ever put into school textbooks.
Which brings us to Section 4, Values Guiding Social Science. So, this toolkit we're building, it isn't just about gathering cold, hard facts. Social science is actually guided by a strong moral compass, rooted deeply in constitutional commitments to human dignity, justice, and equality. We don't just want to know how society works, we want to know how to make it better. And to do that, you've got to look at this comparison between equality and equity. Equality means everyone gets the exact same level of support, no matter where they start. But equity acknowledges reality. It recognizes that different people start from very different positions because of historical disadvantages. To achieve true fairness, we often need equity. So, for example, providing extra educational resources to kids from disadvantaged rural backgrounds isn't giving them some unfair advantage. It's an equitable action. It's leveling the playing field so everyone actually has a genuine shot at reaching the same outcomes.
Along with equity, there are a few other non-negotiable values we have to embrace. First, diversity and inclusion. We need to celebrate cultural, linguistic, and religious differences as a total strength, and make sure nobody is excluded from opportunity. Second, sustainability. That means balancing economic growth with protecting the environment, so we aren't just burning through resources that future generations are going to need. And third, like we just talked about, equity in education and society. These are the core principles that absolutely must shape our social, economic, and political decisions going forward.
Finally, Section 5, the future of society. We've covered everyday life, those 4 core disciplines, our historical traditions, and our guiding values. But what is all of this actually for? Well, it's for looking at the big picture and navigating a super complex global future. Look at the massive challenges up here on the screen. We're talking about climate change, maintaining social harmony in highly diverse populations, figuring out how to responsibly use crazy new technologies, and ensuring the equitable use of shrinking global resources. You literally cannot solve these problems with just math or physics alone. By studying social science, we develop the critical, evidence-based thinking, the empathy, and the perspective necessary to tackle these giant societal challenges head-on.
I want to leave you with this final thought. Social science isn't just a subject you read about in a textbook. It is literally the instruction manual for being an active, engaged citizen. Now that you understand how everything is connected, the wisdom in traditions like Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and why equity matters so much, what's your next step? How are you going to step up as an informed citizen to apply geography, history, political science, and economics to your everyday life? How will you help shape a future that is more sustainable and equitable? Think about that for a bit. Thanks so much for learning with me today in this explainer. Keep asking questions and keep exploring.